Okay, so we're going to talk a little philosophy today. And what I want to talk about is the philosophy of consciousness. So, when we talk about human consciousness, I don't know much about other types of consciousness, but when we talk about human consciousness, what we're talking about is awareness, okay? So, when you are aware of something, you are conscious of it, right? And we become aware of things by observing them or feeling them, right? We take in information through our senses and we become aware of the world around us. So we might see things, we might hear things, we might smell things, we might feel things, right? So if you're walking down the street and you smell dog shit and keeps following you around, you might have stepped in dog shit, right? You start to put the pattern together. You start to say, well, if it still smells like dog shit, then maybe I'm carrying the dog shit. Maybe it's me. And then you look at the bottom of your shoe, right? Another example, let's say that you want to go on a walk in the morning. You're going to start going on a walk. You're going to walk down this bike trail, and this bike trail is headed east, okay? Well, first day on a walk, sun's in your eyes, right? Sun rises in the east. So what are you going to do second day? Well, you're probably going to bring a hat, right? You're going to bring some sunglasses to keep the sun out of your eyes, okay? So, in other words, consciousness enables us to recognize patterns. We make connections between the things we become aware of, between the things we observe, and over time, we recognize patterns and we can develop proactive solutions to potential problems, okay? So, again, I put a hat or sunglasses on to avoid the sun, right, in my eyes. So, now I'm going to kind of introduce a very particular type of pattern that consciousness can recognize and perhaps take advantage of, right? So again, if you're walking into the sun and you don't want to go blind, then you're going to take advantage of a hat, okay? So the particular pattern I want to highlight here is that the pattern of social conditioning or societal conditioning. So in the United States, you are kind of born with certain expectations, right? Or you were indoctrinated with certain expectations. You gotta go to school, right? You gotta get good grades, and then you gotta go to college, right? You gotta get some student loans. You gotta take some loans out. You gotta pay for the college degree. You gotta get good grades in college, and you gotta graduate. And then you gotta go get a 9-to-5 job, right? You gotta get married. You gotta have a couple kids. You gotta get a 30-year mortgage, right, for your house. You gotta build up your credit. You gotta get health insurance. You gotta get a couple cars, right? You gotta get some car loans. You gotta get life insurance, right? Dental insurance. All of these things are expected of you, right? And you are conditioned to do them. But what happens when everybody is doing those things? Well, what happens is there's a pattern that develops, right? There's a pattern of social conditioning or societal conditioning. And if somebody becomes aware of that pattern, what does that enable them to do? Well, if you become aware of the fact that everybody's doing this same lifestyle where they go to school, they get a college degree, they get a job, they get a mortgage, they get health insurance. If everyone's doing the same thing and somebody becomes aware of that, it opens up an opportunity for them, right? And that opportunity enables them to take advantage of you because you are behaving predictably. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like a bunch of private equity inflating the prices of the college degree and inflating the prices of the house and inflating the prices of the health insurance and the life insurance and the price of the car. And before long, you're broke and you can hardly afford to live on this planet because you were predictable, okay? So what is the solution here? Well, what is the antidote to predictability? It's simple, right? It's unpredictability. Very simple concept, right? If you want to avoid being taken advantage of due to your predictability, you have to be unpredictable. And the truth is I'm not going to tell you exactly how you as an individual has to be unpredictable, because it's going to vary from person to person. But if you do feel like you are being taken advantage of in this economy, in this society, in the United States or beyond today, then it's because you are behaving predictably and somebody is taking advantage of that predictability because they became conscious of the pattern that was expressed in that predictability or by that predictability. So what that might look like, again, I'm not going to give you exact instructions here, but maybe you just hold off having the children. Maybe you hold off on that mortgage. Maybe you don't go and pay rent, some overpriced rent for some one little bedroom apartment. Instead, maybe you save up and you buy a little camper and you live in a campground, really cheap, right? Really minimalistically. Or maybe you take care of your body and you don't buy the health insurance, right? Maybe you don't get married right away. Maybe you don't get the college degree. Maybe you go to trade school, or maybe you just work for a friend who happens to pay you well or something. Maybe you work an under the table job. The point is that if everyone's doing the same thing, it enables someone else to come along and put on the sunglasses and the hat. Okay? In other words, enables somebody else to come along and take advantage of what is available to them. And your predictability is an opportunity, okay, for somebody else. So what I really want to make clear here is that the people who take advantage of you, they don't necessarily have a malicious intent. There's no malicious intent behind the sunglasses or the hat that I put on before I go on my morning walk, right? And I'm not hurting anybody by doing that. But of course, there sometimes is harm that comes out of this, right? When billionaires are exploiting the working class and driving them into debt, there is harm that comes from that. But again, I want to highlight that this isn't necessarily malicious harm. I put on those sunglasses and that hat to defend myself, to defend my own eyes against the harm that the sun's going to do if I stare straight at the sun. Billionaires are just defending themselves from their fear of scarcity. And they've found an opportunity, unfortunately, at your expense, to resolve that fear. So I'm not asking you to point fingers at the billionaire and blame them. I'm just asking you to step outside of that conditioning, and you will find solutions to your troubles, to your economic hardships. And the truth is it might not even, those solutions might not even manifest as money. They might manifest as community, right? Maybe small communities start to build themselves from the ground up. They start supplying their own food, right? They start growing their own food. They start to become more independent of the big agricultural companies that are poisoning the ground with glyphosate all over the fucking planet, right? The point is that if there is a pattern and you are following that pattern and you're being taken advantage of, it's because of this natural evolution that's built into consciousness. If there's a pattern, there are opportunities by recognizing that pattern. And if you are part of that pattern, you are going to be the one taken advantage of when other people see that opportunity. So be a little unpredictable. Give it a little thought. Thanks for watching.